I'd like to take some time to elaborate on getting the fill to fit the beat. That's very crucial because if it doesn't fit, it's not going to work with the rest of the tune because the beat is producing the feel of the song. So it's very important, like I say, to have it as an extension to the beat or the feel. So in doing that, one good way to develop it is look at the subdivisions that are being played. If I'm playing a groove with eighth notes on the hi-hat, eighth notes on the fill are going to work, eighth notes, 16ths, that type of thing. You know, if I'm doing triplets, I go to triplets or 16th note triplets, it's all going to mesh together quite nicely. When you start cross-breeding, you might say, note values and going from quarter note triplets to 30 seconds to dotted quarters, it can get pretty jumbled and doesn't flow as much. So you want to kind of have them relating to one another. What I'm going to do for an example right now is I'm just going to play a straight ahead beat. And I'm only going to do the fill with my right hand, just a little ad lib thing to show you how it works together. I'll just going to play a straight ahead beat and just ad lib some fills, but only with the right hand. You can see it's all eighth notes. Here we go. So that's our bases, is the eighth notes. Now I'm going to bring in the off 16ths with the left hand. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'll just start with some eighth notes with the right, coming straight from the hi-hats, just moving over, same speed, and then I'll put in some off 16ths with the left, like this. So you can see how the fill is just an extension of the beat. I want to show you an example of one that doesn't fit and it doesn't have the flow. So check this one out. So you can see, sure, there's more technique involved in those fills, but it just wasn't working. There was nothing to jive to, nothing to feel. It was kind of nauseating. So you always want to make sure to have it a part of the beat, an extension of it. So now I'll show you in a musical phrase how a fill needs to work with the beat. First we'll do it how it doesn't fit, an example of that, and then an example of how it does. Here we go. So you can see it was an example of what not to do. Because even, you know, coming out of the fills, I hit the crash and the downbeat, but it just was just a bad mix. Too many notes, it just too much off timing with some triplets and stuff, and the tune doesn't dictate that. The beat is straight ahead eighths. So remember before, you're taking the eighth notes around the toms, and you know, you want to have it contextual. You know, it's kind of like mixing ketchup and ice cream. You know, I wouldn't suggest trying that to see what it samples like. I think we can understand, ketchup on its own with its items is great. Ice cream on its own with its items is great. But mixing the two is just like, so sorry if I offended anyone and someone does actually like ketchup and ice cream, but here's some examples of the fills that fit the beat. Now that's an example of fills that fit the beat. It built up, it had the release and the tension. If I was playing a tune like that, I still wouldn't put that many fills in a section. I'd probably put one at the end of the phrase, because then it's more musical and it becomes too much in too little time. I just did it every 4 bars so that you can get an example of the fills that do fit. So you want to make sure that your fills, generally speaking, are at the end of the phrases. You might have a little embellishment halfway through, but generally they are an extension, again, like I say, I always say that, extension of the beat, because that is going to make them feel good and sound good.